In this video, we're going to think about sensory diets. I like to think of a sensory diet as a bit like a food diet. The reason I think of a sensory diet as being like a food diet is because if we eat healthily, as in we eat our big meals and we have regular snacks, we stay full all day long. If we suddenly decide that we're going to restrict our food intake, we suddenly become very hungry and we start to make poor choices in relation to our food. Children are the same when it comes to their sensory experiences. If you think about a child that's sat all day long in a classroom and they've had to sit still, they've had to cope with other people around them and they haven't been able to fidget and move, they might then come home from school and suddenly need a huge burst of energy. Similarly to if you're very hungry, you suddenly want to eat a huge volume of food, and often it's not a very good choice. The way I think about a sensory diet is if we have regular sensory activities or sensory snacks throughout the day, it helps a child to feel more regulated and it stops them craving those large bursts of energy or becoming very withdrawn and very lethargic. The best way to structure a sensory diet is to think about your child's specific needs. A sensory diet should be flexible. It shouldn't be prescriptive and it shouldn't have a set of activities that happen at specific times during the day. The best way a sensory diet works is for the adults around a child to be familiar with their needs and to think about the sorts of activities that work at any given moment in time. If you see a child become fidgety, for example, giving them a movement break will hopefully enable them to sit down and focus again afterwards. There are lots of different ways that you can learn about sensory diets. There's a lot of information on the internet, and perhaps if you're working alongside an occupational therapist, you might be able to collect a few more activities. In the meantime, have a think about all the different ways that your child functions in the day. Think about movement, smells, tastes, touch, and think about incorporating a variety of these into your child's day. You might want to use some visual schedules as well. So if you think about in the morning, your child might need some movement, some of the deep pressure that we've talked about, and then they might feel more able to focus on eating their breakfast or getting dressed. If you use these principles throughout the day with lots of regular sensory opportunities, it can help children to feel a lot calmer and more regulated.